Hello and welcome to Inches and Cubes, brought to you by Encounter Wargaming. This is episode 22, Does This Look Infected? Today you've got, as usual, Paul Mr. Fist Fowler.
Adam the Truest Axe.
And Point and Click Nick. Also, we're a Warhammer 40k podcast, kind of important.
Oh yeah, still. Well, I mean, I figure they know that if they're tuning into episode 22, right?
That's fair.
We're always about the new people, though.
That's true.
Yeah.
Welcome, new people. Sit down. We're going to play some music real quick and come back and talk about other stuff. Okay, bye-bye. And we're back. And like I said off the top, we're taking care of Nergal's own in Does This Look Infected?
Hope you got your tetanus shot.
Yeah, or you're wearing your particle mask, or...
Oh, that's going to help you.
Yeah, no. Head to toe hazmat suit, maybe?
Probably not.
No, still.
No, it's like a soul virus.
Yeah, that's the thing. Well, the Bell guys, I was actually reading their fluff, and they like mess with your mind. But before we get into the main topic, as always, we're gonna go over our hobby desks. Adam, you want to take us through what you've been working on?
Sure. I love the crickets there.
Why am I so bad today? Tell you what, you know what? I need to take the edge off. And to do that, I'm going to use a Bewitched Belgian IPA. And this unique IPA combines the distinctive character of Belgian farmhouse-style yeast with the hoppy bitterness of American IPAs. And it's got a mild malty body, spicy and fruity notes from the yeast, and delicious citrus hop finish. And they're telling us to let this beer cast its spell. So, good luck.
Cool.
So we're on a tour of Wellington Brewery today. I stopped by the beer store and found some variety packs, and so we're going to have some fun with that. All right, so what I'm doing is I made some great progress on the Tzeentch Sorcerers I've been working on. There's 4 of them, one of which is Ahriman, and they're just great, fun, big flowing robes, and just really having fun practicing some airbrush techniques on these robes, which is fun, and working some more on the what do you call it again? Glazing. That's the one. Yeah, and it's really working out. I'm really having fun learning this glazing technique and just perfecting it. So that's a nice little tool to add to my belt as a painter. Painted a black coach for the 3rd time. Let's not talk about it. And worked on Magnus's base some more. He's really coming along. And I forgot about this. We were talking earlier. I forgot to mention I got a Gilliman commission. So putting him together.
I'm glad you said commission. You're not just like, I'm going to run Gilliman in my sister's army.
Dude, he's got a Gilliman.
I've already got him painted and ready to go.
You monster. So you're working on it. How does that model go together? Like, does it build well?
With glue.
Wah, wah. Does it build well though? Like,
it's pretty easy. I mean, all their kits are. If you follow the instructions, you won't get lost. But if you try and do it yourself, you definitely get lost.
Okay.
So just because they're doing all they're designing them all on the computer, right? And so they're all cut in weird ways.
Mm-hmm.
So you may not know where something goes unless you consult the instructions.
Good idea.
But he's great to do in sub-assemblies, just to work that airbrush a little more. Yeah, Nick, you finished that Doom Prince?
No, I still need to get silver paint. I'm out of town. I went to Kitchener-Waterloo for Oktoberfest, so I've been away for the last couple of days. Went to a haunted house last night, so I've had 0 time to actually sit down and hobby.
I hear you're launching pumpkins across the bar.
No, like outside. So Oktoberfest has
outside.
this it was at a ski resort chalet kind of thing.
Nice.
And they just had giant trebuchets set up that you could launch pumpkins at cars.
Really?
Yeah, cars set up on the ski hill, not just like into a highway.
It took a second. That was a slow burn one. I was like, why would they set up targets on that way?
But the next project I've got in line is I'm getting a twin Lascannon Mortis Contemptor Dreadnought ready for a 30k event coming up at the beginning of November.
Fun.
Yep. So that's got an arm in the freezer I need to snap off and do some magnet work because I want to magnetize it so we can have the close combat arm or twin Lascannon.
It's literally one of the first things you did when we got here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you put it in the fridge.
Freezer.
Freezer.
It's gonna get really cold in the fridge. It'll be super nice.
Oh, I wonder what that was.
Adam, why don't you tell us?
Yeah, so I just popped the top on an Iron Duke. Yeah, this is a strong ale from Wellington Brewery, like we said. The Duke is back, says the bottle. A dark burgundy in color. Oh, now I have to pour some out to see if it's actually burgundy.
Just pour it in your hands.
With an enticing aroma and a toffee and caramel. Enticing aroma of toffee and caramel. This British-style strong ale has a robust malt characteristic with hints of raisin and nut. Oh, I hope it does not taste like raisins. First brewed in 1986. That's how old I am. This award-winning recipe brings together subtle earthly hop notes with complex malt flavors to create a smooth, full-bodied ale.
Nice. Paul, what you working on?
Last episode I mentioned how I had that the Casa Ferrum dreadnought that I was working on, the Mark IV. Blew through that in record speed.
You did.
That
so
thing,
impressed with you.
That thing, I absolutely love that model. I've been waiting for a long time to paint one of those. It was really cool to work on. Lots of like flat panels that you could really do some nice sponge chipping. It was really nice to have that Forge World transfer sheet kicking around.
Yeah.
Just to like really finish that off. Didn't do anything too crazy, though. I did have like one transfer that's just the fist. There's no like circle or anything, so there's a lot of negative space happening on it. So that one was like ideal for the big side panel. And where it was so large, I felt that I didn't have to go in and add a lot of black to that model to get the contrast that I like on those guys. And the base, there's an Iron Warrior's head tucked away.
I'm surprised it's not purple.
I know. Well, it can't all be purple. But it's a Mark III head, and I just drilled through the eye.
Oh, nice.
And then let the drill push out the back, and didn't clean up the hole at all. So it just like looks like it blistered and popped out. And like I went in and did those like little triangles that you're supposed to do on battle damage and stuff, but subtly. Looking at Adam for that.
What? When did I tell you to do that?
I think
you're not a fan of battle damage.
Yeah, around the time that we were making
yes.
the Zone Mortalis table. But yeah, no, it's a fun little detail and on a really fun model. Got to go in and like work some weathering powders into the metal and stuff, and just I think it turned out pretty well.
Yeah, you're following your own advice from Astro, which was
simple done well. Yeah, it's
no, it goes further than that. Simple done well beats
fancy every time. Oh god, stupidest thing I've said in a crowd.
Say that in front of a whole bunch of
amazing painters. Like it just like tumbled out, and I was like, "These guys are gonna kill me. They're gonna put dreadnoughts in socks and just go at my kidneys until I pee blood."
Yep.
Oh,
I've got a Hell's Bock. It's a strong beer. It's a Bock style lager. It's deep golden color with a grainy sweet malt aroma. It's a traditional German style lager. It has bready malt flavors. It's upfront. And it has a mild, noble hop finish. Hell's Bock is light in color, yet big on flavor.
I like a Bock.
Yeah, that's quite good. Especially when it's like almost 7% beer. Yep. So none of us actually played games because it was Thanksgiving, and I'm sure we had lots of stuff. Did you have a good Thanksgiving?
I did have a good Thanksgiving. I went to a potluck, and I made some delicious jalapeno cheddar cornbread.
I saw in a cast iron frying pan.
In a cast iron frying pan.
Did you heat the cast iron frying pan up first?
Yes, I did. So it was nice and crispy. I also made my breakfast in it that morning. And I didn't clean it. I was like, people love bacon grease. That's
of course.
Instead of butter in it.
Nice.
And I also made mashed potatoes. But I was going to my friend Tara, her dad is in town. She was like, "Oh, come over for Thanksgiving." Like, we did a big potluck. They're Irish, and I realized that I was bringing potatoes to the Irish people's house.
You bring whiskey too?
I did, but I didn't mention it until like Tara was like, "Oh, you're awful brave." I was like, "How come?" She's like, "You're bringing potatoes to my dad's first Canadian Thanksgiving." And I was like, "Oh no!"
Yeah, it's a traditional Canadian dish.
Yeah, mashed potatoes.
I have so many mashed potatoes in my fridge.
You want to eat some mashed potatoes?
for my lunch this week. It's going to be 4 days of turkey stuffing and mashed potatoes.
How about you, Adam? Did you have a nice Thanksgiving?
So, my history with Thanksgiving is bittersweet because my birthday is October 9th.
Happy birthday, Adam.
Don't wish him a happy birthday yet. We'll get to that in a
Oh.
minute.
Medium birthday, Adam.
So that always overshadows Thanksgiving for me because anytime I go to have a party or do anything, people are always like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm out of town." Or all this.
Yeah.
So my family always made my birthday special.
I get the exact same thing because I have a Halloween birthday. So as an adult, it would be like, "Hey guys, like I come and have some birthday drinks." Everyone's like, "Well, actually, I'm going to a Halloween party." So that's where the tradition of going to 1602 and just having a bunch of pints. If you're hearing this, October 28th, Saturday, come by, have a beer with me at 1602.
It is not
yeah,
a house party.
It is not a house party. It is a bar. Mike.
Oh, that is the funniest story ever.
All right, so we'll get right back to hobby stuff in a second. But did we tell this story on the podcast before?
No, I think it's
Of
just one of
Mike?
Yeah, so
Yeah, we did.
we did on the podcast. Anyways, yeah.
Paul's repeating his stories.
Oh,
We're
no.
there.
Well, go back and listen to it, new listeners.
So none of us play any games,
Mm-mm.
but we have a lot of stuff coming up.
We sure do.
So we can talk about our upcoming games that we're excited for, because I'm excited for a bunch. So Paul, Connor, Phil, and I are doing a mock tournament. We're going to be testing out a new comp style for Hogtown, along with a new tournament format. And we're actually going to try and use the Best Coast Pairings app to see how well that works on a small scale before we translate it to a big scale. Do you guys know what Best Coast Pairings is?
Yeah, that's the ITS guys.
Oh,
ITC guys.
It's just an online tournament
Yeah.
TO that does all the number crunching and everything set up. So, like, you upload your lists ahead of time, so when you're assigned your opponent, you can look through the website and see their list and the app and stuff. So I'll have that all ready to go for Saturday for when we do our little thing. And then Sunday is the second battle of the Knicks. Actually, it's more like the 8th battle of the Knicks, because during our league, a lot of Knicks got paired up against each other a couple times.
Mm-hmm. Well, we have a lot of Nicks.
I know. So yeah, I have to play Nick G, because I can never pronounce his last name.
Growlowitz.
Growlowitz?
I think so.
Okay. Sure, I go with that.
Have we ever asked him?
Nope. Polish names are hard to pronounce.
Not once you hear him.
That's true.
Though, anytime I'm in a bar and I'm like, "Oh, I'll have a Tiski," and they're like, "Oh, do you mean Tiski?" And I'm like, "I didn't hear the difference."
Yep.
But they know that I got it wrong.
Good beer, though.
Delicious.
Playing him on Sunday.
I'm playing him tomorrow night.
Oh, delightful. He's a delightful human being.
He actually asked Paul to bring his Fire Raptor so he could practice against a Fire Raptor to get ready for fight,
So,
which I thought was pretty funny. That's it for me. Do you guys have any?
yeah, tomorrow I've got Nick. I don't know what he's bringing. I'm going to be bringing the 40k list that I've been putting together, which is the Leviathan with 2 storm cannons, the Ferrum with 2 twin auto cannons, a Fire Raptor. So it's just going to be like a ton of shooting. And I'm really looking forward to it, just because it's very brappy.
So, now that Paul's stalled enough,
We can wish Adam a very happy birthday. We're not going to sing, unless you want us to sing.
He doesn't want that.
Happy
birthday Don't do it, don't do it. Shut it down.
Happy birthday.
So there's something in here, eh?
Yeah, and it's not a Custodes Dreadnought.
Oh, you guys are brilliant.
They're,
Friggin' butter tarts.
You know what?
I love butter tarts.
there's not a lot of Canadian 40k podcasts, so
Yeah.
And I know you like your stouts.
I do like my stouts.
So this is a stout that Indy had on, and I was like, Adam needs that.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So happy
A
birthday,
barrel
buddy.
aged, no less.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys are classy. That's great. I feel so special right now and loved by you
That's
guys.
what I didn't want Paul to say happy birthday. I wanted to keep it a surprise. I want to be like, he forgot our birthday, and then we're like, ha ha, we
well,
didn't.
he mentioned the birthday. I'd look psychotic if I was like, neat.
So we're gonna eat some butter tarts if Adam feels like sharing, and get right back to you with our main topic.
All right, good night.
We're coming back.
Okay, well then I'll talk to you in a bit.
Battle Brothers Studios, a commission painting service passionate about making your miniatures and your gaming table look great. Our philosophy at Battle Brothers is this: your army is our army. Every model will be something you can be proud to show off. Send us a message on facebook.com/BattleBrothersStudios for a free quote and make that dream project come to life. We also have something special planned for the release of 8th edition of 40K. Right now, get 20% off if you commission us to paint an 8th edition starter set, or get a 10% off Army Bundle bonus for painting up your new 8th edition 40K Army. Inquire with us on Facebook for full details.
Hogtown, Hogtown, Hogtown!
Saturdays at Sword and Board!
Rock and Bloor!
It's behind the pizza.
Oh, yeah!
Yeah!
Idiots. And we're back. I asked who wants to take us back in and then decided I was going to do it.
Okay.
We're going to talk about the spookiest subject in all of 40K, zombies. Specifically, Nurgle. They got a lot of zombies. It
I wouldn't
works.
call them spooky.
Well, they kind of got that like Halloween-y vibe. Like the David S. Pumpkins Halloween-y vibe.
I guess, yeah.
They're goofy.
Dark Eldar are like spooky to me. Like ghosts are spooky to me. Not like
Zombies?
zombies. And...
It's kind of like
They're
Jim...
just scary.
I guess Nergal
Yeah.
is like zombies brought to you by Jim Henson.
Yes, very much so. Oh man.
Oh, that's creepily accurate.
Yeah, just looking through this stuff, you're like, yeah, that's cool.
But I gotta say, looking through this book, they have returned to fluff in a way that I really, really like. Because I found, like, a couple of the other codexes, I was looking through the big timeline of battles and stuff, and it just, like, it was a little uninspiring. But this, like, just hits it out of the park. We have, like, the Doom of Hesp, which is what happens when Tyranids fight Death Guard. So they get into this big battle on the planet of Hesp, and ostensibly the Tyranids win. Like, they just destroy all the Death Guard forces on this planet. But as they're breaking down the planet to digest, so have we ever, like, described how that happens?
Not on the podcast.
So what the Tyranids do is they have digesting pools, so, like, eventually Rippers just go through and eat everything on the planet and jump into these digestion pools where they are broken down into their constituent enzymes and sucked up by the hive ships. The Death Guard on the planet essentially infect this, like, gooey soup. So the first hive ship to take a sip of it through its, like, long proboscis that goes into the atmosphere starts acting weird and is infected, and the rest of the hive fleet just turns on it and blows it up. So there's just this planet of gross, gooey biomass, because, like, none of the other Tyranids try to eat it.
They stripped it clean, and now it's just this nasty Nurgle soup.
Yeah, it's incredible. Like, that is the most hardcore 40K thing. I know we say that a lot, and by we, I mean me. But it's just so intense. Then there's this really cool one.
So I guess it makes it super hardcore just to jump in on you, because it's like a not common combination.
Yeah, and
Right.
like they kind of I've noticed that they've been doing that a little bit more lately, like just trying to give you fluff justifications for how two armies that seemingly wouldn't interact do. Like there's a story in here about how the Necrons, the Death Guard infect a bunch of Necrons before they go teleport back to their tomb world, and like the infection spreads to the tomb world. How you infect a robot, I don't know, but they did it.
As long as they could get something onto the robot, right? They just
Yeah.
need it to be on him, and I guess it could just grow on him or something.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be like it's your own flesh rotting.
I mean, it is living metal, like, quote unquote.
There's actually a fantastic picture here that kind of describes exactly what you guys are talking about. It's
Visuals on an audio show.
yeah, well, I'll do my best to describe it. So it's basically Typhus and Mortarion fighting a whole bunch of fire warriors.
Oh,
Typhus has one like up by the throat, and if you look down at the bottom of the page, the fire warrior who's on the ground is so close to Typhus that his armor is slowly starting to dissolve because he's just
It's-
too close to Typhus.
Yeah, it's just peeling off.
Yeah.
I love how the pieces are like almost like they're floating in the air.
Yeah. Well, I think that's kind of like how they do like the mortal wounds mechanic in the game. It's
Well, it's a stink so bad that it's peeling paint.
yeah, you do not want to get close to these dudes, man.
But they also mention a cool thing that the 7th Plague Company attacks the Minotaur
You're
chapters.
going to notice the number 7
Oh, yeah.
a lot in this episode.
7 is the lucky number of Nurgle. You might say sacred, but they're down with luck. But the 7th Plague Company, they attack the Minotaur's homeworld, and they repel them, and they think that they did a good job until they realize that all of the gene seed held in their fortress monastery is now infected.
Ooh.
So the Minotaurs in the current fluff are making a beeline for Terra to get the gene seed tithes that have been sent to Terra, because that's the only uninfected gene stock that they have. So that's like a huge blow to a Space Marine chapter, which is just something that's like hella cool to mention, and it really shows like what happens when a demon Primarch comes back. It's like, yeah, we're just gonna kill a chapter almost.
Yeah.
Like that will be one action.
And it's not just some random one either. Like they're moderately invested in the Minotaurs because they have all this Forged stuff for them, right?
Yeah, they've got 3 special characters, and
Yeah, so I like this one, the Green Death.
tell me more about this Green Death.
So when a whole bunch of infected orc warbands invade the Ecclesiarchy world, and yeah, they just go crazy and get more bloaty and more swelling, and no, they weren't eating beans and bacon all the time, it was something else. The orcs become obese monstrosities that can only move at a snail's pace. So puzzled by this, the Adeptus Sororitas are like, oh, cool, we're fighting a whole bunch of really fat, really slow orcs. Then Mortarion shows up. When Mortarion shows up, all of these orcs explode into dozens of Nurglings and sweep over the Sisters of Battle and destroy them.
That is a horrible thing.
Why they gotta mess with my girls, you know?
They showed up. Do you have any other ones that you wanted to mention?
Yeah, so I think their Games Workshop's really trying to push the narrative of Death Guard versus the Imperium in 8th edition, for sure. I know we talked about this when 8th edition came out. A lot of the stuff that came up when we talked about the fluff from the rulebook had to do with the Death Guard and the Ultramarines fighting. So in the Death Guard Codex, there are 7 outbreaks of war. Also, I looked it up briefly. The chance of rolling a 7 on 2 dice is exactly 1 in 6.
So that's pretty high.
Yeah, it's 16.6%.
Well, before you get into the 7 plagues, I've got one more conflict that the Death Guard
We're
were.
gonna have a conflict right here. If you keep interrupting me, Paul. No, go ahead. I'm kidding.
It's under the entry of Rust and Ruin. And this is when Mortarion and Perturabo get into a fist fight over the Temple of Ascension. So this is a chaos shrine that everyone's really into, and it documents a fight between 2 demon primarchs. So it's GW is like pushing the idea that these like creatures and figures of legend are like coming back, and they're being more active in the fluff. So it's an exciting time to be playing the hobby, and it's an exciting time to be reading this background. And secondly, it just shows why 2 Chaos Warbands might fight. And basically, the Iron Warriors think they have the upper hand till all their stuff starts to rust and mechanical parts start falling off and stuff like that. So it's a war of attrition between 2 attrition war groups. So yeah, I just think that's a really cool thing. That's Godzilla versus Mothra. That's Batman versus... Actually, that's the Joker versus Mr. Freeze, you know?
Or the Joker versus the Trickster.
It's bad guys fighting. So Nick, do you want to take us through these 7 sacred battles?
Yeah, so I think these kind of go through order.
Adam is currently standing behind a raft of beer, and I think he wants us to drink one.
Choose. Take your pick.
Well, I'm going to try that Shadowy Pact, an Irish dry stout.
That's the only one we haven't talked about yet.
Yeah, it's a full-bodied stout, but it's approachable, well-balanced.
Open it first before you talk about it.
Oh, he got you.
That's a faux pas.
Well, luckily, it's also sessionable. They've brewed this Irish-style dry stout to have a rich, malty body, with coffee flavors followed by a notably dry finish. And this enticing stout is like a secret handshake between friends.
Oh, well, I was going to say I'm going to follow you on that. Well, now we can secret handshake.
We don't have 3 of them. I'm left out.
It's true, we don't have 3.
It's got coffee flavors.
Take your pick.
It's got coffee flavors, so Adam won't finish his.
Well, it doesn't taste like raisins.
The last one didn't, so...
Oh, there's no coffee in that. Have a sip. Oh, no, there it is.
It is pretty sessionable. That's light.
Tastes like beef jerky.
Why you gotta say that? It is so... It's smoky.
It does.
Yeah.
So I think these are kind of like in an order
Yeah, this is
of
like...
how they happened. So the first one starts out with Outbreak Cadia.
Can I just ask...
Yeah, of course.
What's the big significance here? Set some context for us. The 7 battles.
So I think it's just... So it says, though the Death Guard fight to spread their plagues across the Imperium, certain war zones and campaigns have spiraled into immense outbreaks. Epidemics of violence and decay that have cost the Imperium dear. So these are just 7 select ones. So these are just massive offensives against the Imperium.
So big deal fights where they are really winning, and it's hurting the Imperium big time.
So we've got Cadia, the Gothic sector around Talarn and Nocturne, around Rinnsworld, the Ghoul Stars, the Circatrix Maledictorum, that's the one, against Macragge, and Ultra Mar.
Yeah.
So the first one is against Cadia. So Typhus and the Vectorums of the First Plague Company have been repeatedly sighted around the shattered Cadian Gate and just kind of mopping up there, which is kind of cool. Then we've got Outbreak Kantakaha. Sure.
Tell us more about Kantakaha.
This is actually a fight between Tzeentch, who is actually Nurgle's mortal enemy, and the forces of the Plague God, Grandfather Nergal, Grandpappy. This is an armored conflict. Apparently, it's just demon engines fighting demon engines, and yeah, lots of stuff going on there.
Smash, smash, smash.
Yeah. Then we have Outbreak Dusholtu, the glooming bloat spreads. So this is just... Wow, this sucks for the Imperium.
Tell me more.
There's a warp storm that comes in, going after an Imperium fortress, and then as soon as the... Oh god, I feel so bad for the Imperium. So first, the Necrons come up from a tomb world below. Then the Eldar attack from above. And then the Plague Marines show up and kill everybody.
So that's an apocalypse battle. That's why you have 4-player fights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a bad place to be in.
Yeah, wouldn't you just be like, I'm opting out?
Yep.
This is a bad day.
Uh-huh.
This is a really bad day.
I'm retiring.
There's no such thing as a retired guardsman.
Nope. There's Outbreak Arcanum, which is containment failure critical, which you never ever want to hear. If you ever hear those words, run. So by the time the Imperial defenders detected a Space Hulk, it had already drifted through 7 Imperial systems and had been disgorging demon spores and drop pods of the 4th Plague Company. That's right. Plague Marines have drop pods. Never seen them. They just mean dread claws. So dozens of worlds are now beset by the Eater of Lives, and it's a sentient plague racing through defending armies and reducing them to fleshy, bubbling slime.
Can we just stop there for a second on sentient plague?
That's so cool.
That's terrifying.
It's terrifying, but it's cool as heck.
Yeah.
Like, what do you fight a sentient plague with? You need a sentient cure.
Hand washing. Fire.
Yeah, I'd just go with like some hand sanitizer and some like stringent hand washing protocols.
Nice. Yeah.
Maybe some antibiotics.
Put that in the Imperial Guardsman handbook.
Yeah, the uplifting primer.
Point a flamer at yourself and pull the trigger.
Make yourself right with the Emperor.
Then we've got Imperial forces fighting orcs. This is Outbreak Lorthax, the Sanguis Flux epidemic. Flux, bad. You don't want the flux.
Especially if your flux capacitor runs out of juice.
No, this is a different flux. This is like the bloody flux.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's bad. So this is a whole bunch of orcs exhibiting a hideous blood-weeping plague. Sounds terrible. The Imperial defenders soon become infected. Then the Plague Marines show up with demon engines and beginning another 3-way battle between the Imperium orcs and them.
I'm getting this hint here that they're quite insidious, eh? They kind of show up after the fact. They like this. They always lead out with this infection or this plague. They kind of like weaken you, and then they just come in and destroy you.
Well, I think that's what Nurgle's thing is. Nurgle has to spread its plague before Nurgle, the actual demon,
Can like manifest.
Yeah, like that's the idea. Is these sicknesses are weakening the bounds between the warp and the materium. Like it's crazy.
And I think the Death Guard are the best example of probably the most corrupt legion, as far as like mix between warp energy and.
Oh yeah, like they're the ones that have given themselves over the most to a god.
Yes,
outside
definitely.
of the Thousand Suns, but that wasn't really their call.
Yeah, it wasn't really by choice.
And I guess like we see it just so prominently physically manifested, right?
Yeah.
Like the Thousand Suns, you don't really see that. Like some the sorcerer models I'm painting right now, like one of the arms is like a weird hand with like a feather on it. But like these guys are they're crazy, right? It's just taking over their bodies.
Well, they like, and they all view this as like an amazing like status symbol, right? Like, oh, I got a bunch of eye stalks. What did you get for Nergal Day? I got fly wings.
I got the bloody Flux.
Oh, lucky.
But yeah, I mean, like Khorne Berserkers, they look like normal dudes covered in blood with power armor.
With tons of skulls. There's actually a cool story in here where a bunch of like Nurgle followers kill a bunch of Khorne champions, 7 of them, and cut off the skulls and just like make them into blight grenades and give them back to Khorne as like a huge insult.
That's hilarious.
And there's a real. Are you done the play?
No, I'm not.
All right. Well, you go. You finish those, and
Okay.
one more thing that I want to talk about from the.
Yeah. But back to just the point of the legions, like even Noise Marines, like all they do is kind of alter themselves, right? Like they'll wire their jaws open or like cut their ears off so they can hear better, but they don't like get crazy amounts of gifts.
Yeah, they don't mutate.
Yeah.
Yeah, they molest themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Don't we all? So then we have the Outbreak Tarf, the droning squirm infestation. So this is Tyranids tearing through the Imperium again. Now come in contact with some Plague Marines. Sorry, they might not do Plague Marines. I'm calling Death Guard pure Plague Marines. Their advance has been slowed because of the Plague Marines, and there's a Ferryman. I want to hear more about the Ferryman.
Yeah,
the Ferryman strikes like sudden viral outbreaks against leader beasts and hive nodes.
They talk about the ferryman like a couple of times.
That's so cool. If I ever, when I die, just put some gold coins on my eyes before you set me on fire, okay, guys?
You got it. Promise.
I'm serious. I'm not taking any chances. And then there's the I got to get across that river if I end up on the river Styx.
Yeah, you don't want to be at the bus terminal patting your pockets.
Then there's Outbreak Ultra Mar, which is the onset of the crawling pustulence. So it's the worlds to the galactic north of Ultramar have been overrun. We talked about this in the first episode. Now they're the Scourge Stars. So these have provided the Death Guard with a foothold from which to launch their invasion of Ultramar. Ooh, now wherever the sepsis cohorts of the 7th Plague Company strike, the crawling pustulence extends its reach into Ultramarines' realm. I've had sepsis. It's awful. I don't recommend it for anybody.
Really?
Yeah.
Good God.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. How?
I got malaria when I was in Africa, and in my feverish delirium, I scratched at all the mosquito bites that I had gotten because you're kind of just completely hallucinating, and then the mosquito bites got infected, and I got sepsis while I had malaria.
Wow.
Jeez.
You want to lose 15 pounds in a week? There's your diet.
That's Papa Nurgle's.
Yeah, that's
for sure. Holy smokes.
That was awful.
Yeah, I got a buddy right now who's dealing with some stuff in the hospital, like, and he literally he sent me a picture of what's going on with his leg, and he's like, Papa Nurgle's blessings. It's like on these big sores popping on his legs.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Yeah. I mean, he made the joke, not me. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
As long as he made it.
Yeah.
Go to your doctor regularly. If you're listening in Canada, we have universal health care for a reason, single payer stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Not perfect, better than anything else.
Yeah.
Use your doctor.
There's that great thought experiment where like it's not is it good, it's would you trade it for something else. I like that one the most.
Yeah.
But then the last little bit of fluff that they mention is something like so cool, and this is spooky,
Spooky.
spooky. And I'll read it out of here.
Halloween themed.
A battled warship impossibly identified as the long-destroyed legendary Death Guard vessel Eisenstein is sighted beyond the third moon of Lorne's Landing,
Come on.
glowing with a lambent hue before vanishing without a trace. Just days later, the Death Guard descend upon Lorne's Landing with Mortarion at its head. Inquisitorial savants note with alarm that this is the sixth such manifestation to herald the coming of the Death Lord himself. They fear what may transpire upon the seventh. That's spooky. That's
Well, it's
campfire.
really spooky because like the Eisenstein was a Death Guard ship where the first Plague Marines were born in the fluff.
Yeah. But also it was the ship that made it away from Istvan to warn the Imperium.
Well, Warren Dorn, who had a hissy fit.
That's up to Dorn.
But yeah, no, that's where the first Plague Marines were born.
So is this a herald, or are they chasing down this mysterious ship?
Probably chasing it down.
Yeah. One or the other. Who knows?
Yeah, because what did...
We don't know what happens to the ship after it gets to the moon.
Okay, yeah,
No, they
because Jarrow...
They eject their warp.
Yeah, we don't know what happens to
That
it.
doesn't mean the ship's exploded. Just means it's not warp traveling.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, right. It doesn't go to the moon because they get rescued by...
Which is basically a moon.
But then they go to the moon because that's where Jarrow fights
Yeah,
the Lord of Flies.
because they're like, yeah, we'll let you go to Terra. Psych, no we won't.
That was staged, by the way. We've never been to the moon.
Okay. So that's...
Everyone put on your tinfoil hat. We're going for a ride with Nick.
Yep.
Grassy knoll. Cubans.
I'll tell you, I'm not going to get into my favorite JFK conspiracy theory on the air, just because, I don't want to be tracked down. I don't want to go on record
They're
with it.
listening, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not saying that they're listening, but they're definitely listening. So yeah, that's kind of the, a good snapshot of the fluff and what's happening now.
They're like that. They've been set up as like the big danger for the Imperium right now.
Yeah, they're like the immediate threat.
Yeah.
And they're sort of keeping the Imperium on its back foot while Abaddon's doing who knows what.
Yeah, Magnus is fighting the Space Wolves.
Well, he did it.
Yeah. Well, have you heard much about Magnus's fluff in 8th edition?
Nope.
He's probably still fighting the Space Wolves.
True.
Also, Magnus and Mortarion do not get along.
No.
Which is kind of important to... another fluff point, which kind of translates really well into our talk. We're going to talk about some new units. Is Mortarion and the Council of Nicaea. So the Death Guard originally hated Psychers. Mortarion was like, lock him up!
Because when Mortarion landed on his home planet as a wee babe in his weird warp stasis pod,
The wee baby Mortarion.
he was taken in by the overlords of
Barbarous.
And they used warp sorcery to animate the dead, or like war engines with corpses incorporated to attack the human settlements. And Mortarion became resentful of these overlords and started to identify with these humans in these like valleys because that was the only place that the humans could live because the atmosphere is poisonous as you go higher. So he goes down and he rallies a militia and he's like, we're going to actually kill these overlords. And just as he's about to be killed by this overlord, the Emperor comes in.
His adopted father, no less.
His adopted father, indeed. The Emperor comes in and, without really recognizing how important this fight is, just ends it for Mortarion, just kills all of these overlords. And that's kind of the bitterness that was taken advantage of by the traitor, the Astartes, way back in 30K.
Oh, is he like bitter that like he didn't get to finish it? Is that what?
Yeah, and like
Like,
he's resentful that like nature didn't take its course.
Yeah, he's like all Primarchs. He's got daddy issues.
yeah. Daddy stole his opportunity.
Well, it makes it like quite clear in the book that like Mortarion and the Death Guard in the Heresy, like they were devoted to overthrowing tyrants. Like that's what they lived for. Was like despots, dictators. They would just overthrow them and free the population through just sheer brutal warfare, which is actually kind of noble.
Yeah.
Better than Night Lords.
then, as Nick was talking, there was the Council of Nicaea, where people, and by people I mean Primarchs, so
And people. Malkador was there.
barely people. We've established that he's somewhere in between. So they're talking about what to do about the Psyker problem, because Psykers are becoming far more prevalent, and do we allow them into the ranks of the Astartes or not? And Mortarion is the one that kind of pushes the arguments from do we allow them to it becoming more of a witch hunt sort of thing. And he's very instrumental in taking the Psykers and like suppressing those genes and suppressing those talents.
It's funny. So he turns the whole thing from should we include them to let's murder them all.
Yeah, and like they don't entirely murder them all, or they don't. I don't think there's any bloodshed due to it, is there? I don't know. I don't remember.
The burning of Prospero?
Eventually, the burning of Prospero. Okay, fine. Oh, an entire planet? This is 40K. You can discount an entire planet going up in flames.
Fair. So, yeah. So my point was I think this really translates into how the Death Guard Psykers work. So they have sorcerers.
Yeah, they have the standard Bog Chaos Sorcerer.
And they have a sorcerer in Terminator armor.
Mm-hmm. And then beyond that, they have a unit called the Noxious Plague Casters. Malignant Plague Casters, sorry. And these are the sorcerers that completely give themselves over to Nurgle's magic powers. Because in the Death Guard, sorcerers are kind of shunned, so these guys are like, oh, I'm kind of lonely, because Nurgle is the most social of the Chaos powers. They come under Papa Nurgle's wing, and he teaches them all about, like, here's how you can use magic powers to make flies into ninja stars or whatever. Nick, did you want to... Were you trying to angle to talk about some of the Chaos... Or the Nurgle psychic powers?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going for. So we've talked about the Chaos Codex in the past in the podcast. So this codex introduces a brand new range of psychic powers. And it's kind of cool because I don't feel like there's so much like psychic powers and warp energy when we really think about it. They're much more based around like warp diseases. So you've got things like miasma of pestilence, right? Or gift of contagion, the plague wind, the blades of putrefaction, putrescent vitality, or the curse of the leper. So it's very much like warp powered plagues as opposed to actual psychic powers. Like there's no real sorcery going on. It's more
like manifesting plagues.
Yeah,
right?
manifesting plagues, controlling plagues with the help of Nergal.
Yeah,
boosting a plague marine or boosting a Nergal unit's.
It's like calling out of a plague marine all of what it already has, right? Like you're already diseased to heck, and now we're gonna amplify that.
Call it plagomancy.
Heyo.
I was going to say plague alchemy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because there are normal sorcerers here.
I believe the term would be cacomancy.
You can call them the plague whisperers.
Cacomancy, okay.
Cacomancy?
For Latin?
Yeah.
We know what cacabony is.
So it'd be just poop sorcery.
Okay.
Poop magic.
That's fair.
God.
That's fair. So there's funny. So we've got the sorcerer and the malignant plague caster, and the only difference is 1 point of toughness and 1 less leadership. Every time the malignant plague caster manifests a psychic power with a psychic test of 7 or more, the nearest enemy unit within 7 inches suffers a mortal wound.
What? That's a big change from that little pamphlet you got in the starter set.
Yeah. So now it's just like if he casts a power and it goes off 7 or higher, the nearest enemy unit takes a mortal wound, which is kind of cool.
That's awesome.
It's a really just a cool model. And then kind of on that theme is a new unit that we're seeing, and that's the Taliban. And the Taliban is this awesome looking model. You've probably seen him kicking around. He appeared in one of the GW promotional videos when these models were coming out. Highly recommend it. Go look it up.
Does he have the abacus in the actual model?
Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
he does.
Like, so this guy, they compulsively tally. So they are just counting. It says like they count woes, they count flies, expended bolter shells, like enemy units that run away, dead people, just anything, and they're just counting in multiples of 7. how this manifests on the field is when you use a command point, you roll 2d6. If you get a 7, it's free.
Like, that's so good.
Yeah,
it's stratagem.
When you use a stratagem. So you could be using a 3-point stratagem and you roll your 2d6 and it's like, oh, look at that.
Which is a 1 in 6 chance.
So to be clear, it's not like the Malignant Plaguecaster where you roll 7 or higher.
No,
it's
you have to roll 7.
7.
Yes.
But it's such a cool and also fluffy and powerful ability. We've seen a lot of armies kind of show up and have these command point manipulation abilities, and like our buddies the Ultramarines. And this one I like a lot more, even though it's largely similar.
But the fun part about it is that's not all he does.
Yeah.
This guy's basically a chaplain, so you can reroll all failed to hit rolls in the fight phase if you're within 7 inches of him. So not only is he an actual handy support character, he's got this fun little ability, which could mean an extra stratagem being used in the game at least once. Well, no,
Probably a couple times.
I don't know. Depends on how lucky you are, honestly.
And if you use 1 point once or 2 point once, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Depends on how thrifty you are. But point is, it's better to be looking at it than looking for it. It's a cool model. He's got one of those little Nurgling buddies that are popping up on all the new models.
I love the Nurglings.
Yeah, they're
They're
fun.
like adorable, but like insanely creepy.
Decomposing me.
What's the new? What's the new critter in?
Porgs.
Porgs.
Yeah,
Looks like a porg that's been like Nurglified.
yeah.
So what's a Borg?
It's just like an otter.
Introduced a new creature to Star Wars to sell lots of toys to little children.
Meanwhile, no one's talking about the crystal fox that's just running around on whatever ice planet that is. That's the coolest thing. Guys, the trailer dropped yesterday, so we're all pretty screwed up on Star Wars.
Oh, I did watch that. It was pretty cool.
I haven't watched it yet. I'll watch it.
Please.
Okay.
I wish I didn't watch it though.
I know.
Don't do it.
I kind of just want to go into the movie
Yeah.
with my eyes completely wide open and be like,
Spoilers don't bother me about anything.
Like the end. Like, come on.
That could be anything.
I know, but I hate that I watched that.
It could be anything. Like, it's a trailer.
Like the way they splice it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But still, because if it's not,
Yeah, it's still, we're expecting it one way or the other. Yeah.
don't watch it, Nick.
okay, well, I'm so excited. We got Justice League. We got.
Don't care.
It's gonna be good.
Yeah, I haven't watched a superhero movie in about 2 years.
Okay, well, honestly, like Wonder Woman, really good. Watch that; you'll enjoy it.
Okay, so
It's so different than any other. It's set in World War One.
take that, peasants.
It's really cool. Yeah. Then we got Thor Ragnarok.
Okay, Thor I'm going to mess with.
Definitely looking forward to that. Definitely looking forward to Star Wars.
And that's Movie Corner.
That's Movie Corner.
How about take me through another unit that you like? Because,
Me?
the Taliban, it's a cool new unit. It's a cool new model.
Let's compare the two new tanks. They're fun.
Yeah.
They're going to be important, and it's important to kind of. I mean, both the models are super sweet, so it'll be important to know the difference.
Yeah, so first of all, we've got the Malefic Blight Haulers. These are little, like, tracked drone type things. These are demons.
They remind me of those tanks, the droid army, just to, build up my cred here. The droid army that's coming down on Naboo.
Yeah.
The big turrets and kind of the big front ends, right?
Yeah.
That are grav tanks.
Well, when you saw the art, you were like, do they hover?
Yeah.
Are they hover
Well,
tanks?
they look like it.
Well, their design is very close to the Blight drones.
Yeah, like ground-based blight drones.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these are...
And this is also probably the less seen publicly. Like, I haven't seen these online yet, as all the
Do you have
rumors
it in
float
the-
around.
There's a picture of it in the Codex somewhere.
Yeah.
They look pretty... They're small, actually. They're not very big. They're very much a support unit. So they move fast. They're 10-inch movement. Weapon skill, ballistic skill 4, strength 6, toughness 7, 8 wounds. Little mini dreadnoughts. That's exactly what they are. Little mini dreadnoughts.
He's so satisfied with
I
that.
know, he's so pleased with himself.
So they have a missile launcher, a multi-melta, a bile spurt, and a ganashing maw.
You know that it's gnashing. You're just trying to kill me.
Why can't you hear a pterodactyl go to the bathroom?
Because its P is silent. One of my favorite jokes written out is pterodactyls are terrific, but it doesn't sound very good.
What?
You just spelled terrific with a P.
Oh,
That's great.
nice.
So these are fun little units. So they got disgustingly resilient, which is something I put at the end, but we should definitely talk about this first before we start talking about units. I'm just going to quickly go into this, and this is special rules and abilities.
Take us through all the special rules, Army.
There's one. There's two. Yeah, we'll go with three. Death of the False Emperor. We know that one. Extra hits on a 6-up. Disgustingly resilient. Each time a model with this ability loses a wound, roll a dice, and a 5+, the model does not lose the wound. So if you get hit with a las cannon, it does 6 damage, you roll 6 dice. For every roll of a 5, the damage is ignored.
Your explanation was so much more clear than the 40k rulebook.
I know.
Thank you, Nick.
Yeah.
Because when it first came out, I was like, every time you lose a wound, so if you get hit with a las cannon, that's a wound. Oh, it said, no, they used to say suffers a wound. So you're like, oh, you suffered a wound. You haven't suffered damage yet. So on a 5-up is ignored. That's not how it works.
No.
And then plague weapons. So a lot of units have plague weapons, and this is reroll wound rolls of 1. And there's a lot of plague weapons in this codex, so that is really good. So yeah, back to the Malefic Bloat Hauler. It's got disgustingly resilient, so it ignores all damage on a 5-up. Super good, especially with like a toughness 7, 8 wound thing.
Is it invuln save too? 5-up?
Yeah, 5-up invuln save. It's a demon.
Mm-hmm.
And then friendly Death Guard infantry units entirely within 7 inches of this. Oh, entirely within.
Ooh, that's tougher.
That is tough.
Tougher.
Gain the benefit of cover while making armor saves.
Okay. So you can't sneak one model in there, but you stick close to this puppy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It blows up on a 4-up.
I love how easily stuff blows up in this.
It doesn't, yeah, and also you have to subtract 1 from any hit rolls that target this unit in the fight phase.
Oh, okay.
So
It's just fighting, okay.
So it's a cool little support unit.
Yeah, they're pretty handy.
Yeah, you have a couple of those individually running around, like just next to your units, like running up with, I don't know, a character bomb or something like that, or just a couple of units of Plague Marines running beside him.
Well, it's funny that you talk about a character bomb, because the next thing that I want to talk about is the Death Shroud Terminators.
Oh, can we compare it to the other tank before we do that?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we'll do the 2 tanks in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Nick, you want to take...
pull it up?
Oh, sorry, you don't have the... I'll let you go through this one, Adam, because you don't have a codex in front of you.
Alright, the Plague Burst Crawler. This is like the weird turtle shell mortar tank that everybody
Slug
sees.
tank. It looks like a slug in a salad bowl. I love it.
It really reminds me of one of the undead vehicles from Warcraft 3.
Sure.
You guys ever play Warcraft?
Nah, man.
You ever play World of
Dude,
Warcraft?
like long... Wow.
I played outside. No, I didn't.
I definitely played Warcraft, like one of the original ones.
Okay,
whether it was Warcraft 2 or something.
The undead weren't in that one.
Right, but you could like make things in the undead or summon skeletons or something, right? Yeah.
Spooky.
It's a corpse cart. It loads up dead bodies and fires it at people.
Rude. Anyway, so the Plague Burst Crawler is kind of like your standard, I don't know, what shall we say, Predator chassis, I guess. But it's basically armed with a battle cannon that has a minimum range of 12 inches that can shoot at things it can't see. Pretty fun.
Yeah, so you put it in places.
What's its maximum range?
48.
That's not bad.
Yeah. And then it also has more guns.
How many more guns does it have?
Oh, at minimum 3 other guns. So kind of like, I imagine like, if we're still comparing it to like a Lehman Russ or something like that, it's got its 3 sponsons, so kind of equivalent. So heavy slugger and 2 plague spitters, which is the same type of auto hitting weapons that are on the fetid bloat drones, that can be upgraded to other things. I still think the plague spitters are the best, but I do find the where are they? The plague
Entropy cannon.
Entropy cannons. Yeah, entropy cannons are definitely the way to go. Shorter range last cannon. That's a little bit less strength.
But it's sort of...
It's also AP -4.
Oh, last cannons are only 3?
Yeah.
Alright, so
it's a multi-melter that doesn't have the melted rule.
But
Or
like...
the range.
That's good range, though.
It's better range.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's its own thing. It's called an entropy cannon.
It's its own thing. so,
We don't need to compare it to other things. It stands by itself.
so generous. Yeah, but like, I feel like arming it with that puts it in the same category as the other one that we were talking about, the Malefic Bloat
Sure.
thing.
Blade Hauler?
Blade Hauler, yeah. Yeah, so like I would keep it to the out of line of sight cannon.
Just like bare bones.
No. You
Don't-
get that.
Yeah.
Then your options are either the 9-inch auto-hitting flamers or the entropy cannons.
Oh.
Yeah. Now, so points comparison might dictate which one.
It definitely will.
Yeah. But, I mean, keep it cheap if
Also depends on how you want to
And
run
it's
it.
got a rot hail something.
the heavy slugger, or that can be traded for a volley gun.
A rot hail volley gun. It hails rot
Gross.
in volleys.
You basically, the difference is range and number of shots.
And
Strength and AP. Okay, so it's all different, but it's pretty close. It's like it's a low strength gun, right? So it's like an infantry killer type thing. Both of them are. Anyway, they're pretty fun. They explode on a 5-up, so there you go. Not quite a 4 like the bloat drones and stuff. And it comes with a 5-up inbound save, which is fun.
It's a demon. Yeah, it's a demon engine.
There's a great stratagem that you can pay that when your vehicle loses all its wounds, one command point, it blows up automatically.
Ah, brilliant.
I love that. I love it.
I mean, especially with the amount of vehicles you got. Like bloat drones, like when are you taking less than 3 of those things? They're so good.
Wait, do they blow up?
Bloat drones?
Don't they?
They only do 1 mortal wound though.
That's not
And
bad.
it's on a 4-up rather than a 6, right? So
Yeah. So
more consistent but less damage.
most of them are going to blow up.
And like those things, you just run them right into the face of an enemy army, like doing all these strength 6 auto hitting things that reroll 1s to wound. And
They have to deal with those.
yeah, you have to. And they're tough. They're tough. 5-up invuln, feel no pain, like all the things. A bunch of they're like 10 wounds each, so you got to deal with it. And and then if you do, it's gonna hurt because
Yeah.
they're gonna blow up.
Or you didn't, or you don't deal with them to deal with some other thing. Like that, they're just such a good unit, and like they're kind of quick, which complements Nurgle really well because most of their infantry moves 5 inches,
Yeah.
which is something that we should have mentioned right off the top. Most things move 5. But the Death Shroud Terminators, I'm really excited to talk to.
Yeah.
These.
Take us into this.
They move 4 inches. But
So who are these guys first off?
the Death Shroud in 30k, they were Mortarian's personal guard. And there's a lot of like cool lore around these guys.
Like it wasn't an honor to be one of these guys.
No.
Like you get wiped from all records.
Well, you're officially listed as slain.
Yeah.
It's not that you didn't exist, it's that you are dead. So these guys, they have no identity anymore. In 30k, it was said that there was never a time where Mortarion was more than like 30 paces away from 2 Death Shrouds. They were his like personal guard. Now that he's ascended to demonhood, these guys, this kind of rank still exists, but instead of being his personal guard, they are his emissaries. They are his hand. They're his representatives. So if you're ever like in a conversation with a Death Shroud Terminator, you're in a conversation with Mortarion. These are his guys.
Except they don't talk.
They don't talk, but they probably hand out messages or like show up with people who are talking. You know how it is.
Just hands you like an envelope.
Yeah,
You're invited to Mortarian's birthday party.
and then your hands rot off. Bring your hand goo. But it's the same deal now, though. Once you're inducted into the Death Shroud, your name is removed from the roster. These guys are good. They're 4-inch movement, toughness 5, strength 5, 2 wounds each, 3 attacks, 2-up save. They've got Cataphracta armor, so it's a 4-up invulnerable save, which is pretty good. But you have to have the amount that these guys advance. So if you roll a 6, have it to 3. You know how halves work. But they do a cool thing, which I haven't seen before, where Death Guard characters within 3 inches of these guys add +1 to their attack characteristics. Not Mortarion, because that would just be silly. And
He's
there's
already got 18 attacks.
yeah. And they're a silent bodyguard. So you roll a dice each time a friendly Death Guard character is hit by a ranged or a melee weapon, if he's within 3 inches of this unit. On a 2-up, the Death Shroud intercepts the hit, and the character is not hit by the attack, and it's resolved against this unit instead.
Yeah, you put a unit of 5 of these guys next to Mortarion, you're not touching Mortarion.
No.
Which is different from how they've done the bodyguard in other situations, where they wait for the damage to be done, and then they say, this model, if it's within 3 inches, can take a mortal wound instead.
Yeah, no. This is I like this way more, actually, where it's just they...
You intercept the hit.
Well, like...
Not the wound.
I like the rule. I'm sure that when I'm going to be playing against it, I'm going to be going crazy. But I like the idea of, like, just these silent, terrifying guys just, like, stepping in the way of you trying to attack a Demon Prince.
Now they have to keep up with Mortarion.
Yeah, they only move 4 inches, so they're going to slow Mortarion down, but they're not going to slow down your other characters that much.
Also,
They
they're
do teleport.
11 power level for 3 dudes.
Yeah, because they're beefcakes. They have the Plague Spurt Gauntlet.
Okay.
Okay. It's a 6-inch range D6 pistol, but it's a plague weapon, and it automatically hits. It's only strength 3, but whatevs. And they have Man Reapers,
Pistol.
which is minus 3 AP, plus 3 strength, D3 damage, and a plague weapon. So these guys are swinging those things. It's not unwieldy, so they all are armed with, like, strength 8 weapons.
Oh yeah, because they're strength 5 base.
Yep. These
So
guys
winning
are...
winning Marines on 2s rerolling.
Mm-hmm.
Dirty.
Yeah, so these guys are brutal, and it's really cool to see the continuity of units between 30k and 40k for the Legions. I hope that they keep doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah, and this is something I said before we started the show, is like, this is all Chaos Hess. Like, they're not really making new stuff. Like, the stuff they have is just getting infested or
Yeah, and like
digested or...
I like that a lot of the new units, especially the infantry units in this codex, it's just jobs. It's not like different units. It's just like, this guy's really into counting, and this guy's really into, like, engineering plagues, and this guy's really good at dealing with people who have had their faces rot off. Like, it's just jobs that have had to be fulfilled because of the way Nurgle is, rather than new units primaris being invented.
So I just did the math on these guys. They're 75 points each.
Oh!
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're so cool.
50 points base, 17 points for a Man Reaper, 8 points for a Plague Spurt Gauntlet.
That's brutal.
But that's a whole bunch of last cannons that Mortarion's not taking in the face.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
First turn he flies up, they drop down right next to him.
Yeah, or if you're not going first.
Also, they can teleport.
Yep.
So,
In the Teleportarium.
hold on, wait.
It is.
Oh, it's a teleportarium.
Just a little disappointed by that, but
Yeah.
that's okay.
What did you want it to be? Like the
The
orifice of Terminator launching?
something, or like let's go with a hypodermic.
Orifice.
Yeah, teleport bladder.
The Terminator rectum delivery.
So the cool part about this Codex too is not only do we see a lot of new units, and we could be here all day talking about new units, we have a ton of new weapons, which I really like. So we've talked about plague weapons before, so they reroll ones to hit. So we're going to quickly go over some of the plague weapons, which I just absolutely love. You got things like blight launchers, which are really cool, plague spewers, bale swords, bubonic axes. What else we got, Paul? You see anything else cool there?
Bubonic axes. Phosphex bombs, which are kind of cool.
Ooh, who has Phosphex bombs?
Oh, our buddy Mortarion.
Oh, yes, he has
Yeah,
Phosphex
it's
bombs.
a 6-inch grenade at 2d6, strength 5, minus 1 AP.
And they also have blight grenades, which have always been a personal favorite of mine, where they're just shrunken heads that are sealed with wax and thrown at people.
It's so gross.
Yep.
Yeah, and like the amount of new weapons is just bananas. Yeah, we've got the blade launcher, like you said.
The belcher, the spewer.
I know.
This is how you protect your IP, folks.
The
Yep.
Great Plague Cleaver, the Mace of Contagion,
Plague spitter, plague spurt gauntlet. Look, ugh.
the plague sword.
Is this better or worse than Inceptor, Intercessor?
This feels a little better.
It's a little bit better. It's not like ice or wolf based.
Yeah, at least they're trying out new stuff.
The Hyper Blight Grenade.
Great Plague Cleaver.
Oh my god, the Hyper Blight Grenade is brutal. So each wound roll of 6+ made for this weapon inflicts a mortal wound in addition to all its weapons.
Who has those?
So this is the Biologus Putrefier. So this is like a mad scientist who follows everybody around. And he's really good for anyone who's got Blight Grenades, which is all
Death Guard.
All Death Guard. Because there's also a stratagem that when you're charged in Overwatch, you can use the stratagem for one command point, and all models in the unit being charged can throw Blight Grenades instead of only one. And Blight Grenades are just frag grenades with the Plague weapon rule. But
pretty tasty.
if you mix it with this guy, you increase the strength and damage characteristics of all Blight Grenades by 1. So now they're strength 4, damage 2.
That's how you kill some Primaris Marines.
Yep.
In addition, when a unit within 3 inches of this model is within 3 inches of this model, each wound roll of 6+ made with a Blight Grenade inflicts a mortal wound on the target in addition to any damage.
Cats, man. Holy cats.
So if you get that combo down, you've got 10 Plague Marines doing 10d6 Overwatch shots, hitting on 6s, still going to get a bunch of hits.
yeah, you're...
10d6.
Yeah.
Because each one's D6.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, that's cool.
The theme here seems to be pumping out mortal wounds.
Did we want to talk about Sickle Rick and Morty?
Yes.
Yeah?
yeah.
Come on, please tell me. Sickle Rick. That's
Was
good.
it clever? It was clever.
Pickle Rick's done. It's not funny anymore. The internet's killed it.
The internet killed a lot of Rick and Morty stuff this weekend.
Yeah.
We don't need to talk about that.
So Paul inconspicuously slid his tablet over to me. I assume that's because you want me to talk about it?
Yeah, I think you could talk about a
Right.
plague mad demon Primarch.
Yeah. So at his best, he's flying with his crazy moth wings at 12 inches. He is strength 8, which is ridiculous. He's toughness 7, which is decent. Here's the big thing, though, because this affects a lot of rules for this guy. The 18 wounds.
Mm-hmm.
And
You can target him.
yeah, that's what that means. That's what that means. So you cannot hide him. To be fair, how you hiding that guy?
Yeah.
Now, he does have a bunch of crazy rules that disappeared.
Oh, you know what? I accidentally opened up a conversation. I should have just...
So I've watched a couple battle reports of this guy. This dude basically farts every fight phase and just does mortal wounds to people. Now this ability is based on the amount of wounds that he has, thankfully, because they added onto his chart of descending stats. They added the value that you need to achieve to get this off. His crazy fart. So it's a 7-inch range on it, and it does D3 mortal wounds to each unit, and you roll a dice for each unit to see if it goes off.
It's basically, if you're at full wounds, it's basically a free 7-inch smite on a 4-up.
On every unit.
Yeah.
That's within 7 inches, which is crazy. Like, you just charge him right in the middle
He's
of
such a
someone's army.
bomb, man. Like...
And then when he's in the middle of your army, like, engaged with everything, what do you do?
I don't know. I do not know, Adam.
Anyway, so he has the standard special rules: Death of the False Emperor, disgustingly resilient, and he explodes when he dies, which is just one final fart.
So, something interesting came up for this guy.
Yeah.
The Death of the False Emperor rule and his Man Reaper. So he's got a couple weapons. The one I want to talk about is his Giant Scythe. It's got 2 profiles. One is just strength user, so strength 8, AP -2, 1 damage, plague weapon, so it's rerolling 1s to wound, and it's make 3 hit rolls for each attack with this weapon instead of 1.
I guess if you need that.
But listen to this. Death of the False Emperor is for every hit roll of a 6 that you get, you generate an extra attack with Mortarion, and if you're attacking with this weapon, that means an additional 3 attacks.
Yeah. It does. I'm okay with that. He's like power level 24.
Like you can't just bog him down, right? You can't just chuck in a unit of Hormagaunts and be like, deal with it.
No, because he's going to be like 20 attacks, hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s.
Yeah, conscripts, throwing
Wounding on 2s, rerolling 1s.
Yeah. Like, it's just not happening. You're going to kill 18 a turn.
Now, to be fair, when Connor played Phil, and Phil ran Mortarion for the first time, Connor killed Mortarion really, really quickly. So,
First turn?
I think it was first turn. Or brought him down to like 1 wound first turn.
Yeah.
So,
How did
it's
it feel?
killable.
How did it feel, Phil? You're not going to listen to this. How did it feel?
We have to face Mortarion on Saturday.
I'm not looking forward to it.
Are you bringing your Typhon?
No. I decided to go with the Leviathan with the 2 storm cannons.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not bringing a Lord of War in my 2,000 point army.
Mm-mm.
So the alternative is the other mode of using his melee weapon. So instead of getting 3, you just get your, 1 attack each like everybody else.
Which is still 6 attacks.
And he's basically hitting you with a melt-a-gun.
Yeah,
So
strength 16, AP -4, D6 damage, plague weapon.
That's when you're attacking like knights
Or vehicle.
or vehicle or a particularly pesky other Primarch.
And so the thing is with this too is like only his movement and his attacks go down. So you cannot stop him from hitting you.
But wait, there's more.
Oh, tell me more.
Enemy units within 7 inches of him subtract 1 from their toughness characteristic. Not enemy infantry.
Units.
Mm-hmm.
Mortarion also pairs really, really well with one of the psychic powers, which is subtract 1 to hit. So he can cast 2 psychic powers and deny 3, which is fantastic for a guy who hates psychers. But again, like I said, I think it kind of makes sense with the way the Death Guard psychic powers work.
Deny. That's the first time I've seen someone who can deny more than they
He
can
hates
cast.
psychers.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I'm proud of them for putting in the rules.
He really hates psychers. He really hates himself. Because that's really the curse of all Primarchs. They think they're better than everybody else, but secretly they really, really hate themselves.
No, Dorn hates everybody else.
And himself.
No.
He thinks he's better than everybody else.
Yeah, but he's got proof.
He hates himself. Okay. Paul's biased. Mortarion's fun. I like him. I don't like he's powerful, but with the fact that he's got 18 wounds that he can be shot at,
He's not unkillable.
he's not unkillable.
You have to. I think you need to use him hella aggressively.
Yes. And I think you said it the best, right? Like Mortarion up in people's faces, Destrad Terminators come down, give him a little bit of buddy boost,
Yep.
soak up those last cannon hits, charge in and murder something.
Something's gonna go down.
Everything.
Or everything. So we're going to quickly go through some fun stratagems.
Yeah.
So Paul already mentioned one.
My favorite one in this entire book.
A lot of them are actually the same as the Chaos ones.
Oh yeah.
My favorite one, and this is the one that I feel can be super, super great if this is well placed. Use this stratagem during your movement phase. Select a Death Guard infantry unit. Until the start of your next movement phase, enemy models can only shoot this unit if it's the closest visible target. That's 1 command point.
That's crazy.
So if you've got a squad of Havocs that you need to keep alive for a turn, you're like, wait, no, Death Guard can't have Havocs.
Can you put it on Mortarion?
No, he's not infantry.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
No, that's good. You got to get those Death Guard dudes walking across, right?
Yeah. Then there's the Dead Walk Again, where you select a unit of Poxwalkers, which we didn't talk about, but Poxwalkers are basically cultists that are just zombies. So instead of your next move... So basically the rule with Poxwalkers is every time a unit of Poxwalkers kills an enemy infantry model, on a roll you add...
A Poxwalker.
Oh.
They just get it. You don't roll.
Oh, you just get it.
You just get an infantry model, yeah.
So this one is every time an infantry model other than a Poxwalker, friend or foe, is slain within 7 inches of this Poxwalker unit, add 1 model to the unit.
Oh, that's tasty.
That's really nice. The one that I like is Grandfather's Blessing. And you use it at your movement phase, and a Death Guard infantry unit regains D3 lost wounds, and if there's no wounded model, a single slain model returns with 1 wound remaining.
Oh, that's 2 command points. That's a little pricey, but it could be.
Death Shroud Terminators.
Yep.
Yep.
You just got 100 points back in your list. That's not too bad. Or just say you through bad rolls or like bad choices, you lost one of your, blight, not blight, the Plague Lord Terminators who had like the weapon you needed right now. Bring it back.
And then you got any you want to talk about, Adam? There's not actually a lot.
No, I expected more, but they've got enough going on that they're not hurting for special abilities.
And then my favorite relic is the Separating Plate. So it's a 2-up save armor, and every time this model passes a saving throw in the fight phase on a roll of a 4-up, the unit that inflicted that wound suffers a mortal wound after all other attacks have been resolved. That is so good. That is so good.
These guys are just, they hit, I feel like...
And it's saving throw.
Yeah.
Not armor saving throw. It's saving throw.
So even an invulnerable save.
So even an invulnerable save. It's still 4-up, so it's not an automatic bounce back mortal wound, but it's still a 50-50.
I just feel like this is... By turn 4 is the turn that you win or lose with these guys, because by the time they get up in your face, they are hitting you so hard.
With so many mortal wounds.
Yeah.
They have a quick chaos boon table for one of their command points.
Oh yeah, Chaos has that too. It's pretty funny. You have to kill a character though.
Oh, okay.
That's fine. You should have a bunch running around.
Add 3 to their move. Excluding demon characters. Sorry, Mortarian.
He's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna do.
It's
just
character,
fine.
vehicle, or monster, so it's not just character, which is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, you can still turn into a Demon Prince. Or you can still turn into a Spawn.
That's fun. And then just some really crazy Warlord traits.
Oh man, these are brutal. I was looking at these on the way over.
Yeah, so you just regain a wound at the start of your turn.
Mm-hmm.
+1 toughness, why not? Add +1 to disgustingly resilient rolls. I don't know why you wouldn't take anything else but that. Because now you're ignoring all damage on a 4-up.
Yeah. You put it on Mortarian?
No, he comes... What's he come?
He's got the Arch Contaminator, so you re-roll all failed wound rolls when resolving an attack with a plague weapon for any friendly Death Guard unit within 7 inches of your warlord.
Adam can't even handle it.
Including him.
Yeah.
Including him.
Because if you're not already wounding on 2s.
Running on 2s, reroll on 1s.
But
Yeah,
now it's reroll all things. Just reroll all the things.
Yep.
And it that's your fetid bloat drone weapons. Those flamers are plague weapons, by the way.
BT dubs.
Like, that's so stupid awesome.
He loves it.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
What do you mean? It's amazing.
I like the +1 to disgustingly resilient, though.
Yeah, that's...
Just for that character?
For any character, just ignoring wounds on a 4-up.
Yeah, but his is such a great force multiplier.
Oh, definitely.
Like, how do you... That's...
But he's so far ahead. The rest of the Death Guard Codex is so slow. He's so far ahead of everybody.
Yeah,
You don't keep Mortarian back.
no, you just put your dudes in rhinos. And your other dudes are teleporting down.
That's fair.
No?
Yeah,
So, yeah.
This was fun. Did you guys have fun?
I had fun.
I did. I had to step out and take a quick thing of antibiotics and rinse my mouth out with pure grain alcohol, but that means it's fun time.
Fun time.
Adam's got a reading for us.
So this comes from the Liber Chaotica, which is this crazy tome of 5 books that they consolidated into one giant book and eventually released all of them together. And it's basically this dude's journey in the old world, in the Warhammer Fantasy universe. His name is Richter Kless, and he's going on this giant journey studying chaos. And
So this is his PhD thesis.
this, yes. here's just a little snippet from the inside cover sleeve about the author. This mighty tome is the Liber Chaotica, a study of each chaos power, Khorne, Slaanesh, Nurgle, Tzeentch, and Chaos Undivided, by the scholar Richter Kless, but reader beware. The compilation of this eventually drove him mad. Inside these corrupted pages, you'll find a dark fount of knowledge. This is the ultimate book on chaos in the Warhammer world. Read it at your own peril.
Oh no.
Yeah, so the dude just goes off to study chaos. He follows them around the Northlands and just goes nuts. And they actually represent that in the book. Like, he starts off his, like, there's commentary on each item, and like he goes around, he collects items and like scrolls, and he's like making sketches of, like, you know, notable chaos people, or just everything. Like, he's documenting every demon, every person that he sees. And his commentary just gets more and more insane as the book goes on, which is pretty cool. So here we go. Here's a 3-page scroll that he's kind of kept on the description of the symptoms of Nurgle's rot and how it manifests. Are we ready?
Get your puke bags ready, my dudes.
Yeah, and here's hoping that it does not actually manifest. All right. Now it's written in, this guy has terrible handwriting, so I'm gonna try my best to get through it. Actually, there's 3 pages. We could each take a page.
Okay, sounds good.
I can't read.
Here we go. I've seen the very worst that nature can throw at humanity, insofar as ailments and diseases are concerned, and yet none of them, not one, has symptoms so horrific and completely abhorrent as Nurgle's rot. The first sign of contamination is the victim's slow descent into malaise, followed by waking visions and other physical disturbances. Once the victim has reached his lowest ebb, a process that can take anything between days and months, depending on the victim's strength of character, the physical symptoms of rot become apparent. First, there will appear under the victim's arms and between his legs large pus-filled buboes. These can swell into the size of goose eggs before finally bursting. After this, severe sinus problems will occur, along with the discoloration of the skin caused by the illness, attacks on the victim's kidneys and liver. After this point, the victim will begin to show symptoms akin to the severest leprosy, and his body will begin to atrophy and rot. Then the victim's hair will fall out, and hundreds of tiny blisters, boils, and warts will sprout up all over his body. Through all of this, the victim will stay fully conscious, as if the plague god does not want those who catch his prized disease to miss a moment of it by retreating into oblivion. I can only imagine that this self-aware state, combined with the disease's supernaturally and alchemically induced depression and hallucinations, and further aggravated by the constant... he spelt emotional wrong, but I think that's hilarious that they put that in there. Emotional pressure of the victim, seeing his body affected so horribly, is an entirely necessary step if the disease is ever going to convince its victim to embrace Nergal.
That just sounds like the Black Plague with a little bit of soul bonding in there.
Once this process begins, there is no turning back. Victims will continue to get worse and worse until they wholeheartedly dedicate themselves to Nergal. The plague god will not allow the victim to die of this disease. They will all and always become his demonic servants. There is no other alternative. It's bad when this thing has a 0% mortality rate, but 100% conversion rate. When the victims totally submit to Nurgle's demands upon their minds and souls, as they always do, the final stages of the rot begin. Now the mutating power of chaos becomes evident, and it is there. And if man, this writing
Chicken scratch.
Yeah, it's just like crazy handwriting. And if there has been any doubt as to the supernatural nature of the disease, it is dispelled as the victim's body begins to look like a corpse that has been left to decay in the damp heat. Flesh rots, skin bursts, and organs become exposed, all by logic. And by all logic, the victim should die at this point. The picture is only worsened as the victim's feet gradually flatten and stretch. It's into two toes merging into three. Their nails replaced by long, filth-encrusted talons. A single horn will slowly punch through the necrotic skin on the victim's forehead. And finally, the victim's eye sockets are observed to creep together slowly before merging into one great jaundiced orb. But this unholy transfiguration is not simply of the body. The victim's soul is slowly being consumed by the plague god, and in its place, he infuses the victim's body with his own purpose and will. And Nick, would you take us home?
While all this is happening, the debility of the disease will fade from the victim, even as its symptoms become worse. The victim will become more and more energetic and oblivious to what should be the pure agony caused by his decayed and warped flesh. The victim will also begin to manifest strange powers, perhaps being able to cause milk to curdle or food to spoil with a glance, or else cause plants and livestock within the vicinity to sicken and die. The victim may also develop an aversion to the prayers and sacred emblems of the various wholesome gods of our empire, as well as the prayers and sacred images of Nurgle's rival chaos gods, although I cannot be certain of this. Just at what point the victim sheds the last of his mortality and becomes a full demon is unclear. For people have few... Yeah, this is... Really
It's hard to read, right?
Few people have ever been close enough to a sufferer of the rot long enough to see these final days. And those that have always contracted the disease themselves. That doesn't make sense.
Those that have.
Yes. Yeah, there should have been another comma there.
Yep.
The only way to fight the spread of Nurgle's rot with any degree of success is with magic and faith. And even though the magic must be potent indeed, and the faith unshakable and absolutely pure, small wonder that many of those who suspect that they may have contracted the rot take their own lives, hoping to die quickly and cleanly, and avoid becoming a plague bearer of Father Nergal. Shall Yah protect and keep us from the plague god's attentions. And I just want to say how much, Nergal is really like a loving grandfather.
Yeah. Like
We've talked about this before.
You stick it out, and Nurgle's there for you.
Yeah.
So, something that's really neat about this is around this scroll, you guys see this, red texture?
Yeah.
So he's actually, taking notes on someone who's, contracted this.
Oh, cool.
Oh, gross.
So I'll read a couple snippets just because it's funny. Well, it's horrible, actually. But because it's,
You
pretend. It's all pretend, so that's why it's funny. To be surrounded every day by sickness and disease must be an almost impossible task. It takes a woman of great fortitude and strength to undertake such a mission. I have the greatest respect for the good sister. If Nergal is allowed to overrun our mortal land, then we will all live surrounded by sickness and disease. But it will not be curable by the good sister, or indeed anybody. It is a chastening thought. Here's another one. I can vouch for the good sister's word. I have seen victims of the rot. It is one of the most horrific fates that can be inflicted upon a man. Dirty flies, carriers of disease, dang walkers.
Oh, there's actually just flies
On
printed
the page.
on the page. This is gross.
Yeah. So this must be... Yeah.
Editor's notes.
Yeah, so he interviewed some... I don't know, some hospital or something like that. This is Sister Duvalier's analysis of the rot. Yeah, so that scroll was this sister's analysis, and he's written notes around it.
Gross.
Yeah.
Cool.
Anyway, very cool book. Liber Chaotica. There's probably no way you can get this thing.
I am super excited to play Death Guard for the first time on Saturday.
Play
Yeah.
against it?
Yeah,
It's gonna be-
because I played against them pre-Codex. I played against them with index rules, played Phil.
They're a lot stronger now.
Yeah.
Like, it honestly, they have access to so much cool stuff now.
Yeah. So it should be interesting to see how we, because you're going to play Phil too, because everyone's going to play each other on Saturday. That's the cool part.
It's going to be 4 games. So it's going to be a long day.
3 games.
3 games.
There's 4 of us. We can't play each other. Ourselves. Can't play ourselves.
You played yourself.
Congratulations.
Zing.
Do I just, like, edit in DJ Khaled's name yelled right now? You guys don't get that joke.
No, I don't understand.
That's basically just for Simon. I think we're done here.
Yeah, so this is episode 22 of... What are we?
Centimeters and polyhedrons?
Sure. Connor, snap out of it. You're in a coma.
Alright, we're Inches and Cubes. We're happy that you've been here listening to us.
Like a monkey in a rocket on his way back home. Okay. Scratching his head.